Have you ever heard the idea that the pyramids of Egypt might not have been built just to bury kings? For ages, ancient legends have spoken about hidden teaching halls buried under temples and stone corridors. Places where pharaohs and high priests were not only rulers, but students. Students preparing for something beyond life itself. They were being trained to step into the world of the gods. But what exactly happened inside these hidden rooms? What knowledge was considered so powerful that it had to be sealed beneath tons of stone? And most importantly, what were the pharaohs taught that common people were never allowed to know? The pyramids have fascinated the world for thousands of years. Most of us were told they were nothing more than royal tombs. But older traditions say something different. They speak of secret passages and concealed chambers deep beneath the pyramids and temples. And according to these traditions, these places were meant for transformation, not burial. Only a select few ever entered them. Pharaohs, high priests, and sometimes their closest scribes. These schools were not about reading scrolls or studying history. They were designed to reshape a person's spirit. Their purpose was to prepare someone to become godlike in the afterlife. Imagine stepping into a narrow stone hallway, lit only by flickering torches, knowing that every test inside was meant to change your soul forever. We know about these teachings because of a writer named Clement of Alexandria, who lived during the Roman era. Long after the pyramids were constructed, he described 42 sacred texts used by Egyptian priests. He said these books contained all of their most guarded knowledge, their understanding of the stars, healing, philosophy, ritual practice, and the nature of the gods themselves. Many researchers now wonder if these were the lessons taught in the hidden chambers beneath the temples. Modern technology is beginning to reveal evidence that hints these stories were real. In 2017, scientists used scanning equipment on the Great Pyramid and discovered large, previously unknown rooms inside. Their purpose remains a mystery, but some believe they were used for ceremonies of symbolic death and spiritual rebirth. Even more incredible discoveries were made beneath the step pyramid at Saqqara. There, archaeologists found more than 5 kilometers of underground halls. Many of the tunnels were traps, intentionally designed to confuse intruders. Some scholars now think this network was used as a training ground, where initiates had to overcome fear and guide themselves through darkness. In 2025, a huge 3,600-year-old burial complex was uncovered near Abydos, one of the most sacred cities in all of ancient Egypt. Abydos was already known as the center of the worship of Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This new discovery suggests the site still hides many secrets, and that its spiritual importance was far greater than historians once believed. But all of this leads us to a bigger question. Why go to such extreme lengths to hide these places? What kind of training was so powerful, so secret, that it had to be protected underground? And what exactly were they preparing for? The answer may be found in the heart of their beliefs. The ancient Egyptians did not see death as the end. To them, death was the entrance to a larger journey, a journey through a realm called the Duat. The Duat was described as a vast and dangerous world. It was said to contain rivers of fire, endless caverns, and gates guarded by frightening beings. Creatures with the heads of animals, enormous serpents that breathed fire, and guardians with blades instead of hands. The Duat was divided into 12 great regions, each one ruled by a different protector. To pass through safely, the soul needed secret knowledge, sacred words, the names of spirits, and formulas of power. Without this knowledge, the journey through the afterlife would end in failure. The Egyptians believed that even the gods were bound by the laws of the Duat. And this is where the story becomes even more intriguing. The Egyptians did not wait until death to learn the path through the underworld. Pharaohs, priests, and chosen initiates trained to enter the Duat while still alive. They memorized long texts of guidance, the most famous being what we now call the Book of the Dead, though the Egyptians themselves named it the Book of Coming Forth by Day. These writings describe a soul standing before a massive gate, confronted by a guardian who demands the exact words to pass. Saying the right phrase opened the way. A demon with burning eyes could be stopped simply by speaking a sacred command that returned it to order. A flaming serpent would withdraw into darkness if its hidden name was spoken aloud. Every challenge required precision, courage, and mastery of ritual. Step by step, word by word, the traveler moved through the 12 realms of the Duat, past lakes of fire and terrifying beings, until reaching the Hall of Osiris. So why learn this before death? To the Egyptians, preparation was the key to eternity. Only those who understood the path ahead while living could hope to survive it afterward. Immortality was not automatic. It was something to be earned. One of the clearest examples comes from the papyrus of Ani, one of the most complete versions of the Book of Coming Forth by Day. In it, Ani, a royal scribe, stands before Osiris. His heart is placed on scales and weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the principle of truth and balance. If his heart was heavy with dishonor, it would be eaten by Ammit, a creature part lion, part hippopotamus, and part crocodile. But if his heart was light and pure, he would enter the eternal fields of peace. This scene captures the core of the Egyptian afterlife. Survival depended on purity, preparation, and exact knowledge. The Egyptians took this more seriously than almost any ancient culture. Their priests developed rituals to practice death itself. Deep underground, initiates lay in coffins or in total darkness, reciting sacred passages as though crossing the Duat in real time. The goal was not imagination, but to actually separate the soul from the body for a short time. And surprisingly, there is evidence they may have succeeded. But knowledge alone was not enough. The body had to be preserved as well. The Egyptians believed the soul had several parts, but the most important were Ka, life force; Ba, personality and movement; Ak, the radiant spiritual form. For these to reunite after death, the body had to remain intact. If the body decayed, the soul would lose its anchor. This is why mummification was not just preservation, it was a form of spiritual engineering. By drying, wrapping, and sealing the body, priests built a vessel meant to last millennia. Every step carried symbolic meaning. One of the most sacred acts was the opening of the mouth, where priests touched the lips and eyes of the mummy, restoring the senses needed in the afterlife, the ability to see, speak, eat, and live again. The heart was always left inside the body. The Egyptians believed the heart, not the brain, was the center of thought and memory. And since the heart would one day be weighed in the Hall of Osiris, it had to remain. The resins and wrappings not only prevented decay, they symbolized purity and protection. The body became like a charged vessel, keeping the connection between spirit and flesh intact across worlds. Some researchers even suggest that the pyramids, aligned perfectly with the stars, acted like energy amplifiers for this transformation. So perhaps mummification was never truly about death. Maybe it was a way to keep the soul active, able to move between realms. And when we look at these mummies today, still preserved after more than 3,000 years, it's hard not to wonder, did they succeed? When you stand before a mummy today, you're not just looking at a preserved body. You're standing in front of someone who believed they would need that very same form again in another life. Their confidence in the afterlife was not symbolic. It was literal. It's clear how advanced the ancient Egyptians truly were. Many people today believe they operated on a higher level of awareness, using mental and spiritual abilities that modern science is only beginning to recognize. And among these abilities was something truly extraordinary. We talked earlier about the separation of the soul from the physical body. In hidden chambers, deep beneath the temples, students of the mystery schools trained to do exactly this, not after death, but while still alive. They were taught to travel in the Ka, the life force, moving without the physical body to distant places, sacred locations, and even realms beyond the physical world. To master this skill required complete stillness. The body had to be perfectly calm, every muscle relaxed, every breath slow and steady. This deep stillness anchored the body while the soul prepared to move. Once the mind entered this state, the consciousness could slip gently away, allowing the traveler to move across distances without ever taking a step. Some accounts describe initiates returning with details of places they had never physically visited, yet described accurately. Today, researchers compare this to what we call out-of-body experiences, or remote viewing. In the late 20th century, even the US military funded experiments where participants attempted to describe distant or secret locations while sitting in sealed rooms. Whether coincidence or something unexplained, the similarities to ancient Egyptian accounts are striking. This may not seem impossible now, but remember, the Egyptians practiced this over 5,000 years ago, at a time when many regions of the world were only just developing simple building techniques. If they had truly mastered this, it would mean their understanding of the mind exceeded ours in some ways. Modern science tries to recreate the sensation using virtual reality, sensory illusions, and electrical brain stimulation. The Egyptians achieved it with sound, breath, and stillness, tools far more natural, suggesting they may have reached something deeper than we currently understand. And just like today, where proper rest is key to mental clarity, the Egyptians believed that true spiritual travel began with deep, uninterrupted stillness, something modern life often prevents. Once students learned to leave the body, the next step was something even more mysterious: communication with those who had passed on. To the Egyptians, death was not final. It was only a transformation. So they believed conversation between the living and the dead was not only possible, but natural. Ritual texts describe vast halls filled with the voices of ancestors and great teachers. Those seeking wisdom could speak with departed family members, former high priests, or even divine beings. These were not imagined voices. They were intentional, purposeful connections. There are interesting modern parallels. Mediums and channelers today claim to receive messages from the dead, sometimes including information they could not have known. Scientists still debate whether this is subconscious memory or something beyond explanation. But the idea that thoughts can travel between minds, across distance, or even across life and death, remains one of the greatest mysteries. But how did the Egyptians make these connections? They understood that the mind is shaped not only by sight, but by sound, and most importantly, by vibration. Sound was one of their most powerful tools. Inside temple chambers, priests chanted in deep tones that echoed through stone corridors, sending slow, rolling vibrations through the air, into the bones, and even into the skull. The sound wasn't just heard, it was felt. Modern science has now discovered something surprising. Certain sound frequencies, like 432 Hz and 528 Hz, create strong resonance, not just in air, but in solid materials as well. These frequencies can make water ripple, make stone vibrate, and even influence how the brain functions. Scientists refer to this effect as brainwave entrainment, where sound gently leads the mind into different states, such as deep calm, vivid imagery, or heightened concentration. For the ancient Egyptians, reaching these mental states may have been the entire purpose. By controlling sound and space, they were shaping the mind itself. In today's terms, it's similar to meditation, breath work, or therapeutic sound techniques used to reduce stress or enhance focus. The Egyptians believed that in these altered states, a person could more easily connect with their higher self, with spirits of the dead, or even with divine beings. And the way they achieved this was remarkable. Archaeologists and acoustic engineers studying ancient temples, including the Temple of Hathor at Dendera and the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, have found that their architecture naturally amplifies specific sound frequencies. The rooms function almost like giant instruments. A single chant or drum beat becomes a deep, powerful vibration that seems to echo from every direction around the listener. Many researchers believe this was the Egyptians' method for entering what some call a higher vibrational state, a condition where the body remains relaxed, but the mind feels open, elevated, and expanded, as if tuned to a different level of awareness. Today, people try to reach similar states through meditation, sound therapy, or controlled breathing. But in ancient Egypt, the temples themselves were the tools, and the priests were the ones guiding the experience. Some theories go even further, suggesting that in these heightened states, priests attempted to communicate with beings beyond the physical world, what some might now refer to as extraterrestrial entities. This theory is one explanation for how Egypt appears to have knowledge far beyond what is expected for its time. Others believe these teachings did not come from the stars, but from civilizations long forgotten, such as the mythic Atlantis. According to this view, the Egyptians inherited fragments of wisdom from a culture that existed before the Great Floods, including their knowledge of astronomy, geometry, and spiritual science. Whichever explanation you believe, outer visitors or ancient survivors, sound may have been the bridge. It was the key that allowed the mind to shift into states where ordinary senses no longer set the boundaries. Those who mastered these techniques were said to be ready for a much more dangerous test, the rehearsal of death itself. And the location where this occurred is a place almost everyone knows. The King's Chamber, hidden deep within the Great Pyramid of Giza, was first entered in the early 1800s, when explorers forced open passages that had been sealed for ages. The chamber sits precisely at the pyramid's center, aligned perfectly along the north-south axis, and built entirely from massive granite blocks weighing over 70 tons each. Its dimensions are measured with astonishing precision. Originally, scholars believed the chamber was meant to hold King Khufu's body, but no mummy, no treasures, and none of the usual signs of a royal burial were ever found. This absence has led many to wonder if the true purpose of the chamber was something entirely different. And recent acoustic research has revealed something extraordinary. Even a simple hum inside the chamber causes the entire room to vibrate with a natural frequency of around 117 vibrations per second, a surprisingly high resonance for such a large stone space. This effect occurs because of the density of the granite and the chamber's geometric shape, which amplifies the sound in a very specific way. Modern research shows that such resonant tones can influence the nervous system and change how a person feels or thinks, which suggests that the ancient builders may have designed the chamber not just for physical structure, but for profound psychological and spiritual experiences. This means they may have understood properties of sound and stone that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. And on top of that, the Great Pyramid wasn't placed randomly. Its alignment and proportions show a deep knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and the natural world. The entire structure is aligned to true north with an error of less than 0.05 degrees, a level of precision that even modern engineers find difficult without advanced instruments. This suggests the builders were using methods more refined than simple visual estimates, likely involving careful observations of the stars. Many researchers have pointed out that the three primary pyramids line up with the stars of Orion's belt. In ancient Egyptian belief, Orion was connected with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Meanwhile, Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, was linked to Isis. The rising of Sirius marked the yearly flooding of the Nile, a crucial event for farming. By aligning their monuments with these stars, the Egyptians may have been both honoring their gods and synchronizing their architecture with natural rhythms. Sacred geometry was also central to their design. Ratios, like the golden ratio, 1 to 1.618, appear in the pyramid's measurements, as well as in symbols like the Ankh, the sign of life. These same patterns are found throughout nature, from nautilus shells to the growth of plants. And this is only the beginning. The pyramid texts, among the oldest religious writings ever discovered, describe the pharaoh's ascent to the stars, treating the pyramid as a kind of cosmic gateway. Researchers have also noted signs that the Egyptians understood the precession of the equinoxes, the slow wobble of Earth's axis that shifts the position of the stars over thousands of years. This kind of awareness would require careful observations sustained across centuries. Their expertise extended far beyond the stars. Their engineering was extraordinary. They cut and moved massive limestone and granite blocks, transported them over long distances, and placed them together so precisely that no mortar was needed. Even today, the method remains a mystery. They also showed advanced understanding of water and acoustics. Some theories suggest that the internal shafts inside the pyramid may have interacted with underground water to create sound-based effects or energy-like vibrations, possibly to support altered states of awareness. While still debated, this connects well with what we know about their use of acoustics in temples such as Hathor's temple at Dendera. Mathematics formed the foundation of all of this. They calculated slopes, angles, and dimensions with remarkable accuracy. Some proportions of the Great Pyramid appear to match the Earth's circumference and the length of the solar year when converted into specific units, leading some to believe they possessed geodetic knowledge that would disappear for thousands of years. Taken together, it becomes clear that the Egyptians did very little by chance. They worked with intention. So the idea that they practiced advanced forms of consciousness training does not seem far-fetched at all. But you might ask, why can't we prove that such teachings existed and originated with them? Many believe the answer lies in the Book of Thoth. Ancient writings describe this text as a record of the highest wisdom, said to reveal control over cosmic cycles, natural forces, and even the powers of the human mind. Only the most disciplined and morally purified initiates were allowed to approach it, because misusing its teachings could bring harm not only to the practitioner, but to others. In the 19th and 20th centuries, occult groups and theosophists began forming their own theories about this book. They suggested the original manuscript may have been hidden or destroyed, either by the Egyptian priesthood themselves or later by Greek, Roman, or church powers, to keep its secrets out of the wrong hands. They believed the knowledge could raise humanity to a higher level or cause great destruction. Some scholars propose that fragments of this wisdom survived within the Egyptian Book of the Dead, while the rest was erased, lost, or passed down only in hidden traditions. If that's true, the most powerful parts of Egypt's teachings never reached the public. So now the question is yours. Did the ancient Egyptians truly unlock a form of spiritual science, a way to shape the mind, body, and soul to reach higher states of awareness? Or have we only recovered small pieces of a far greater system? A system that once existed, but has mostly disappeared into history? Whatever the truth may be, perhaps one day we will uncover the full depth of their teachings. Until that moment comes, we are left with a question worth reflecting on. Are we truly the advanced civilization we believe ourselves to be? Or were the ancients walking a path of knowledge far beyond our own? It's a reminder that the past may hold more wisdom than we usually imagine. A reminder to stay curious, to keep exploring, and to remain open to what history still hides. Keep your mind open, and until next time, take care.